So, you asked me about inspiration. I think I've never needed any special inspiration. In fact, I never need any. I'm inspired by many different things every day. A good wine, a good story, or simply someone else's article. So, when this article was written, I was in holiday with my family, and I wanted to try local wines. So I asked other members of the wine lover group living nearby for help, and the rest is history. And of course, my friends in Greece really liked it. So I think it's a feedback. Why not? Um, and well, you asked also about investigative writing and journalism is better or not carried out by independent journalists or publication stuff. Um, it's a hard question for me because I'm from Eastern Europe, so the free press is a bit different here. All joking aside, I would say independent journalists are usually better at fact finding as they are not pressurized by an editor. Well, the classical good editor is just the opposite. So it's someone who supports the journalists who prepare fact-finding materials. Speaking of a good editor, I don't know a single one in the world of wine in Hungary, and only one or maybe two in the world of politics. So the situation is far from satisfactory. Um, I'm constantly interested in a number of different things. At the moment, I'm really keen on short video clips. Pity I'm not an expert. So I'm also intrigued by the efforts which try to eliminate unexplored areas from the map, such as Central Eastern Europe. Um, and well, I've been in writing about wines for more than 8 years now, but the changes I noticed mostly occurred in me, not in a word. Well, all right, this is not strictly true. As today, is it perfectly natural that, for instance, Turkish wine are also available on the market? 8 years ago, the situation was probably different. The world of wine is much more exciting to me than it was 8 years ago, mostly because the more I learn about it, the more I realize how much there is still to explore. So, in other words, the cleverer, the more educated and prepared someone is in a special area, the more silent they will become because they realize that it will never, truly never happen that they know everything. So I simply love this recognition. Okay, any advice for newbies? Well, at first, write in English or in Chinese, but definitely not in Hungarian as I did. Obviously, this is only important if they want to address a large audience. Everyone can be successful in their own market even without using a word language. So I would rather recommend them to stay open and create a content found nowhere else. And do not hesitate to ask embarrassing questions and be brave enough to say embarrassing options and opinions. I think nice journalists and bloggers who want to be loved by everyone and found everywhere, but they are afraid to say that a clearly bad wine has, well, maybe too much acidity, for example. Instead, they always come up with this wine is interesting nonsense. Uh, well, this is silly. Um, it is fooling readers and winemakers alike, I think. Um, and well, basically I'm a journalist with textual approach. So what I recommend that they find their voices, focus on this. And once they have found it, it does no matter if they are specialized in one wine region or not. Well, unsurprisingly, sooner or later, almost I think everybody will find their own specialty, but I would say that this is the natural course of events. Nobody can know everything about everything. As for learning, it is of utmost importance. And well, learning is always good. Come on, kids. I have also attended WSET courses, and they did give me a cool structure. So I can say just go for it. Well, my answer is from the textual approach. So, well, if I know the answer, I think I would already be a millionaire. Well, I think the basic media consumption habits are prevailing in the wine media market as well. Um, so it's shorter and increasing visual videos, short text, and lots of colorful pictures are needed. As a journalist, I'm deeply disappointed by this. Um, well, a beautiful woman or a celebrity from a reality show can sell more wine than me. Uh, and that's true. Just have a look at Wine Folly. Lots of simplifications, colorful infographics, and there you have the biggest shots of the recent years. So, well,
Okay.
well, this question is relatively easy because I don't have to talk against myself. Um, Wine, well, no surprise here, is an alcoholic drink. Ergo, if we drink much of it, we will get drunk. And if we drink much of it every day, we will die of it, right? So, guys, take it slow, drink less and better wines, yeah. But anyway, this is not so hard. I think good wine costs more, but it is well worth it. And pay attention to taste and smell so quickly becomes more than just drinking. It's sort of intellectual game. Um, I would say the wine itself is never interesting enough. It's only an accessory. Um, and do not overindulge yourself in accessories thought, just as too much perfume or lipstick is to be avoided. Too much wine is not recommended either. If I want to find positive trends, by all means, I would say that public taste started to prefer fresher, more fruity wines with lower alcohol content, and it's good. Obviously, the issue is more complex than this, so what I have just said is not necessarily okay, as there is uniformity in these wines sometimes. However, it's another story. Um, Inner control is more important. So the point of wine drinking would not be getting drunk. Okay. Well, I can speak about the Hungarian market. Um, in our market is the traders, without doubt. More precisely, the market leader. Um, as a hopelessly disadvantaged Eastern European wine writer, yeah, that's me. I don't know anything about the international situation. Um, I see that the journalists and brands that have maybe a bigger than average influence on consumers. For instance, some master of wine, maybe some Chateau from Bordeaux, and obviously the above mentioned wine folly. Um, and what will be different in 10 years? Well, everybody will listen to me, of course, and I'll be the trendsetter in the market. Um, or the reality show celebrities. This will be my greatest war against them. It's a good question. Because as I see it, one can only make a living from only the letter. So traditional things can hardly be avoided. It's a completely different issue that the holy trinity of TV, books, and print media is becoming more and more online. As a consequence of the above, cross-media will gain ground. You still remember Gary Vaynerchuk? He became famous for making TV on the net, right? The number of ebooks is on the rise. So even if I live amongst 4,000 books at my home, and that's true, I cannot help but see that people on the underground use ebook readers instead of hardbacks or paperbacks. And we are nowhere near the end of this process. At the same time, printed magazines give a higher status to certain brands. So in the short run, I don't expect them to disappear. And where does the money come from? Well, ideally, one preferably has to have diverse sources. So I would say that it comes partly from advertisements, of course, partly from the trainings, and partly from selling our time, right? This is at least how I would love to do it. Naturally, it's easier said than done. It does not work so smoothly. I would really like to know more about video making and know English better, really much better. So this is what I will learn. And my dream is that wine writers from Central and Eastern European countries start cooperating and communicating together. So I will do my best so that Wine Sofa, the website where my article is published and where I am an editor-in-chief, would promote and provide space for this idea. The dream of mine is more important, I think, than any position. So if I had to give up being an editor, I would gladly do so. And as for short-term plans, well, it's funny. Next Thursday evening, I'll be in Košice in Slovakia, where for the first time in decades, Hungarian winemakers will introduce themselves at the Furmint Forum event. So if everything goes well, I'll be the moderator at a roundtable discussion with the Slovakian and Hungarian winemakers. And afterwards, I'm going to try the best dry Furmint wines of Tokaj.